We got Ball State and Tulsa. I forgot to check on Kenny. How bad is he hurt, guys? Is he out? I mean, obviously they got a huge game going playing against Boise State. I just don't see Tulsa putting up much of a match, especially if Kenny's not even playing. So that, you know, I'm not sure. Tulsa may reel. It may end up being a 4 or 5 win season for them. And then of course Ball State probably has won as many games as they're going to win. They may win a couple more in the MAC, but we need all our BCS non-conference points coming from Florida State. So we need to be rooting hard for Florida State this week against Clemson. Personally, I think that Florida State is strong enough defensively to keep them in the game. We'll see how much E.J. Manuel comes back to play, but and some of their offensive weapons and so forth. But bless you. So we got a crowd here. So I think Florida State can win the game, but I think it's going to be closer than we think. It's going to be a lot tougher. And if I was to pick my upset, if Clemson is not favored to win that game, I think that might actually, unfortunately, be my upset of the week, is Clemson over Florida State. But my real upset of the week is, I'm deciding on it now, right here now, is Kansas State over Miami. Yes, it's crazy, I know. Kansas State has looked like, you know, they've won their games, but they've looked horrible. Miami had a huge win last week over Ohio State. But if we all know the way the Canes are these days, I just have a feeling they're not going to be able to live with success. They're still going to be, you know, celebrating Ohio State victory. And you know what? Kansas State and the Brown brothers and so forth, which one of them has something to prove to Miami, I just have a feeling they're going to come in and surprise Miami. I think it's going to end up being a really close game. And I think it will show the Big 12 football, which we already know, is this year, to me, I think the Big 12 is the best conference. I know that the pundits are all saying it's the SEC. Until you knock them off, you're not better. And okay, you know, I can buy that. That's fine. But from what I've seen so far across the landscape, the Big 12 is playing the best football in the nation. I mean, I'll tell you what, Baylor can score on anybody. And, you know, we can't take them lightly when we got to go down and play them in Waco. So, look, especially, I mean, obviously if Robert Griffin stays healthy. And that kid's going to earn himself an invite to New York as well, as far as for the Heisman. So I just think that overall the Big 12 is playing the best football. And you look at the rankings, right now us in the SEC, we both have 5 teams in the top 20. We're kind of similar and so forth. But, you know, OU has now the biggest win of the season, beating Florida State at Florida State. Yes, Alabama did beat Penn State, but what is Penn State should have lost to Temple. I don't know if you guys watched the game at all, but oh my God, I mean, the Penn State is horrible. I can't believe that I used that for my, you know, that they were going to beat Alabama a couple weeks ago when Joe Paul is looking so old. So I don't, you know, I don't think Penn State's very good. And of course, you know, I admit LSU did beat Oregon on a neutral field, but I'm still out. The word is out on Oregon because they haven't played anybody since that LSU game. They're just running a track meet against these Popcorn State teams. So we'll see how good they are. But so it's Alabama, LSU, and you know we've got A&M, Oklahoma State. It's nice to see the resurgence back of Florida, but I just don't think Florida is as good as A&M is, or even Oklahoma State, which is surprising. But Oklahoma State's offense with Wheaton is tough, and they will put pressure on the other team. Yeah, he's throwing a lot of picks, but my God, they're running all over the place. So with that, I just have a feeling that the Kansas State Wildcats is going to surprise Miami this week. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Miami's going to, you know, it's going to be a tussle. It'll be like 13-10, and Miami's going to put pressure on themselves not to lose the game. They're going to make some key mistakes, and I think Kansas State's going to end up winning 16-13, you know, something like that. We'll see. You know, obviously I'm stepping on another limb because it's another road team. I picked an upset by a road team in the heart of a pretty decent top 15 team right now, Miami Hurricanes. But that's what I see. I see the Kansas State's going to take them. So with that, we'll get back to the Oklahoma-Missouri game for just a second. As I said, Missouri had to overhaul its secondary. And because of that, I think that Landry and them are going to confuse their secondary. No matter, even our great secondary is getting confused on some of these plays, and we're giving up some crazy plays. I just have a feeling that we're going to, that Landry's going to pass for over 300 yards. And he's going to throw a couple long TDs on Missouri, and that we'll end up winning the game 33-20. And I actually think this might be a breakout game, even though I thought the touchdown that Landry threw to Stills was a breakout moment for Landry. I just have a feeling this is going to be a breakout game for Landry Jones for the Heisman race coming up against Missouri. He didn't really have that against Florida State, but he had that breakout moment. He had that Vinny Testaverde scramble, which OU fans will remember. It helped beat us in, what, 86 in the regular season, and he made that great scramble, and he basically, it was one of his moments that helped him win the Heisman for the Miami Hurricanes. But of course, he threw 5 interceptions against Penn State in the Orange Bowl, which lost the game for Miami as well. So, another week we're number 1. It's in the AP poll. I think that's 101 weeks. It's the all-time record. We're going to keep, we're going to beat Missouri this time, and then we're going to, be ranked number 1 again. Obviously, next week is going to be pretty boring. It's going to be Ball State. We're going to have to, skip ahead to Texas and really start breaking down the Longhorns. They're going to be playing Iowa State next week. I think Iowa State actually can take them. It's at Iowa State. Iowa State's got some pretty salty linebackers, and they're going to, they're actually better. They'll be the best defense that Texas will face until they play Oklahoma. But we'll get to that next week. I just noticed that on the ESPN ticker, though, have y'all noticed that? The ESPN ticker is telling people, begging them to call the servers to get the Longhorn network picked up in their area and so forth. So the desperate call is still going on. Last thing I'll say about the realignment, obviously, I posted on the board where I said OU is the number 1 team in the nation, and there's all this realignment crap, takes a back seat to me to that. I'm much more concerned about what Oklahoma's ranked and what Oklahoma's doing on the field than I am worried about whether we're going to be in the Pac, whatever, or this SEC, the Big Ten. None of that matters to me. As long as we stay number 1, as long as we're the number 1 team, we're undefeated, we're playing for the championship, we're going to bring number 8 to Norman, that's what matters. The rest of that stuff doesn't matter. And all that greed that Texas is doing and all that nonsense, I'm the one that told you on the board that I wanted OU to stay in the Big 12. I'm the one on the board that was the last man standing for that. In fact, you guys were nice to me and stuff. You're like, come on, Bombs, wake up, join the club. OU's moving. I don't want it, man. I told you that before. OU owns the Big 12. And as long as we own a conference, and we go to BCS Bowl from that conference, and we can win the title from that conference, and we make Texas look like our little bitch all the time from that conference, then I want to stay in that conference. And I want to keep on winning that conference and keep on bringing that hardware home. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not interested in playing Washington State and Pullman, and definitely ain't interested in playing Oregon and Eugene ever again. So, right now it looks like that's where they're going to settle on, is playing the Big 12. I'm happy with that, obviously. Texas is still a little pain in the butt. We all know the LHN network and stuff, but you know what? Their troubles are going to come back on them. Right now, it looks like that we may add BYU to the mix. I'd like to add, since A&M's leaving, I sure would like to add enough teams to get back to the championship game. The whole thing is in a flux. We have an opportunity now to get some good teams, and the Big 12, as long as there's OU in it, the Big 12 is marquee. OU, they say OU in Texas, but it's really OU. As long as it's OU's the number 1 team, OU's top 5, that will run the conference. Back then, it used to be OU and Nebraska, and these days it's usually OU and some other team, and they can shuffle the cards on who that other team is going to be. Right? This year it's A&M. I got to be honest, guys. I've been watching them. I've been keeping up with A&M, and they're salty. A&M is very salty. So, as long as A&M's leaving, we all know that, but another team will rise up, and it doesn't always have to be Texas. It could even, if Tubbyfield stays long enough in Tech, it might be even Tech one day, but I don't think it's going to stay. With all that, let's get it out of the way. OU's going to beat the Missouri Tigers this weekend, 33-20, and this is drop all the bombs away. Number 8 is on the way, baby.